And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed. To you it shall be for food. Genesis 1:29. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Psalm 78:25. Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. On today's program, we're going to be making chicken Parmesan over spaghetti. We're going to have a bread with a wonderful fresh herb and spice dipping sauce. And then on the side, we're going to have a green salad, and we're also going to have some sauteed spinach as our vegetable. So we need to get started. I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees to warm the bread. Then we've got a pot of water here that we're just bringing to a boil for our spaghetti. I've got a large skillet on the stove, just preheating on like medium-high heat there to cook our chicken in. So we need to get started on our chicken, and I've got just some boneless, skinless chicken breasts here, and what we're going to do is we're going to make up a bread coating to go on the chicken. Chicken Parmesan is wonderful. If you've never had it, it's just a delicious way another way to do chicken. I need about 2 cups or so of Italian breadcrumbs. If you don't have Italian breadcrumbs, that's okay. You can use plain breadcrumbs and then just season them up with a little bit of Italian seasoning. That would be fine. You could do that. Then I'm to mine, because I like things just a little bit on the spicy side. I'm going to add some crushed red pepper flakes. I'm going to do, probably about half a teaspoon for the 2 cups of breadcrumbs so that it won't be too much. When you use the red pepper flakes, put them in your hand and kind of just take your fingers and just crush them a little bit between your fingers, just like that. What that does is that just releases the oils out of the pepper flakes and just makes them taste just a little bit better. Kind of stir that up. I'm going to add a little bit of salt, about half a teaspoon of salt, because the breadcrumbs do have some in there. And some freshly ground pepper. You could do this with pork chops if you wanted to. This same breading mixture over with pork chops would be delicious. Just kind of stir that up. Break a couple of eggs in a bowl, because you need to run the chicken breast through the egg as just a little binder type thing to keep the breadcrumbs. If you pierce your yolks before you try to whisk them, they sure do whisk a whole lot better. Now my skillet is warm. Let's get that out of the way. Make sure my skillet is good and warm. We're going to add some olive oil just to kind of coat the bottom of the pan. This is a shallow fry. This is not a deep fried product. I don't know, probably a good 1/4 of a cup or so, maybe even half a cup of olive oil. Just enough to coat the bottom of your pan, however big or small yours is. Take your chicken breasts, each one, dip it in your egg mixture first. This is a messy job, but that's okay. And then put it in your breadcrumbs and kind of coat your chicken breast with the breadcrumbs, just patting it to make sure that they adhere really good. Let's test our oil. If you take just a little bit of remember I showed you the little trick with the wooden spoon? But if you're frying something, if you'll just take just a pinch of whatever it is you're frying and put it in your oil, if it sizzles like that did, you know that your oil is ready. You don't want to put anything that you're frying, you don't want to put it in the skillet before your oil is hot. Or what will happen is it will soak up all the oil, and your food is a whole lot greasier when you do that. So we're just going to continue to bread these up. I think I'm going to be able to get about 3 in that skillet. Let's take that off there. A little bit of loose skin. I love this dish. You can get it a whole lot of times in the Italian restaurants. But it really is very simple to make, and you can make it at home yourself. And it's a whole lot less expensive, and it tastes very, very good. So you get that one in there. These need to cook, I would say, about, I don't know, they're fairly thin chicken breasts, so I would say probably 5 minutes on each side would be plenty of time for the chicken to get done. You do want, at this point, this is where you cook your chicken thoroughly. When we put it under the broiler, all we're going to be doing is melting the cheese on top. So you do want to make sure at this stage that your chicken is completely done. Make sure we get them all coated. And I've only got room for about 3. So you probably, you know, if you're cooking more than that, you'll need to do this particular stage in 2, or this particular part of it in 2 stages. And that will be fine. We just want to kind of snuggle them in there and just let them cook. I'm going to get washed up real quick, and then we will start on our dipping sauce. All right, we got our chicken in our pan, and I'm just going to turn. I had to use 2 pans to get my chicken breast in, but you know, that's okay. We're just going to turn the chicken breast over and let the other side. Doesn't that look yummy? You know, and you might need to shift a little bit to kind of get them to fit. That's okay. Just turn these over if I can get him. Come on, you. And we're just going to let those cook on that other side. This one needs just a minute more. You know, a little trick, you probably know this, but now here, most of the time my children aren't with me, but anytime that you're at home and you're cooking, make sure that you don't leave a pan, if they can get a shot of that, to where the handle is off the stove. Do you do that? You need to make sure always that your handles are away, so that when you walk, that you're not running into it. A lot of people don't do that, and it's very dangerous to leave your skillet handles or anything like that out to where you could knock it over, because I promise you that would hurt you or your child. So right now we're just going to let these keep simmering. Now, part of chicken Parmesan is a tomato sauce. I am just going to use just my favorite jarred marinara sauce. You do whatever you like. I'm just going to put this in this pan, and I'm just going to let that, just put that on simmer and let that just be warming up a little bit. You, by all means, could make your own homemade tomato sauce if you wanted to. And I have a recipe for a really good one that you just roast your tomatoes and onions and garlic in the oven, and then you just puree them in your food processor. But that takes some time. And this is just really a quick cooking dish. So we're just going to use a jarred. And really, the jarred marinara pasta sauces today, you can get some really good ones. And not much. I think that jar is like $1.75, $2 maybe. It's not very much money. So, you know, you can get some really good ones, and it doesn't have to be expensive. One of my favorite dishes at a restaurant that we go to locally, they serve this bread, and then they make this dipping sauce that full of herbs and spices, and then you put olive oil with it, and then you dip your bread in there. It's one of my favorite places to eat, period. But that bread and that dipping sauce is so good. So I kind of came up with my own version of their dipping sauce. But the first thing I want to do is get my bread in the oven. Got a pan here because I like my bread warm. You do not have to do this stage if you don't want to, but I like my bread warm. I just bought a loaf of Italian bread, and I'm just going to wrap it in foil. And I'm going to put it in the oven just to kind of get warm. And my foil's too short. Let me grab a little more because I want it covered. And I've just got my oven on 350 degrees. And that way I can just warm my bread because I like it warm. Now, you don't have to do this if you don't mind your bread being a little cool. But I like mine warm. So just stick it in an oven for about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. And then you've got just toasty warm bread, which I love. So we're going to make our dipping sauce. Just check our chicken. Let's turn this skillet. Doesn't that look good? Turn them down just a little bit. to like medium. Let's check on the other side of this one. Coming along. You want to make sure that inside gets done at the same time that the outside. My pan of water is coming up to a boil. So in a dish, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this wonderful little dipping sauce. And the first thing that I want to do is zest a lemon. I don't know what all they put in theirs. I've tried to figure it out, but I'm not having very much luck with that. So I just kind of made up my own. My children love this. I love it. And you just mix up, if you have some fresh herbs, by all means, you can do that. So we're using the zest only of a lemon. We'll use the lemon juice and something else later. But right now I just want the zest, which is the yellow part of a lemon. As you can see, coming off the back of the microplane, that's the zest. And it just adds so much flavor to that. We'll use the juice on something else. We're going to add 1 clove of garlic, just a little clove of garlic that I'm going to mince up. Let's get that chopped. I hear my chicken frying away there. Oh, that was 2 little ones in one. Huh, never seen that before. And a garlic clove, that's okay. Just take off the... Now remember, you're going to be eating this raw. So you want to mince that garlic very, very fine. We're just going to keep mincing it up. Check our chicken here. We don't want it to burn. Turn my heat down. May need to add just a touch of oil in there. Sometimes you have to do that when you're cooking. That breadcrumb just soaks that oil up. We're just going to mince this garlic. You know how to do that, don't you? I've shown you that many times. Just slice it and then put it on your cutting board and run your knife back. Hold the one end with your hand and then just run it back and forth, cleaning the sides of your knife. We're going to put that in with our lemon zest. Let me check our chicken here because it's simmering away. Cooking is one of those things that you've got to be able to multitask on. I need to add just a little bit more oil to this one. You got to be able to do 3 or 4 things at one time, or you won't be successful at cooking. We're going to add just a little bit of, because I have some fresh parsley. I can get it off of there. I'm going to add, well, that just wants to all come out. Just a little bit of fresh parsley, because they do have some fresh herbs in this dipping sauce. So we're going to add, and the same thing, just chop it and then run your knife through it. And you want it to be fine. You could vary this. You could use, if you have like fresh rosemary or fresh thyme, you could put that in there. You could use the curly leaf parsley. I'm using the flat leaf, which is what I use most of the time. I just think it has more flavor than the curly leaf. I think it adds such a brightness to your food. And in this particular dish, it really does. It just mixed with the lemon, it just tastes incredibly good. I think that's good. We'll add that to our bowl. That's just a little, that's probably about 2 tablespoons or so of the fresh parsley. I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. Again, I'm going to crush them in my fingers a little bit there. Then I'm going to add some seasoning, some dried herbs. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, just plain Italian seasoning. Then I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of thyme, just dried thyme. And about 1/2 teaspoon of rosemary. Now what you do is you just stir this together, just like that. And you've got this wonderful little herb mixture. And then you take a little dish. Now I just have these little small dishes there. You want to put a spoonful or so in each one. Just a little bit. And then take olive oil and fill your little container up with olive oil. I would say about a tablespoon of the seasoning mix to about 5 or 6 tablespoons of the olive oil. And you can see you've just got this wonderful little herb mixture. And when we dip our bread in that, it will be fantastic. And we'll just set that over there, and we'll make up some more of those in just a little bit. Let's check our chicken. Now, water's boiling. Let's turn that over one more time. The boneless, skinless chicken does not take very long to cook. And it's goldeny brown and it's yummy. My water is boiling. Want to add salt. Remember, this is the only time you have to season your pasta. Add salt to your water. Turn it down just a little bit. And remember to never add your salt until your water is boiling, because that really will scar the bottoms of your pans. And you don't want to do that. So we're going to add, just going to cook some regular spaghetti. You could use any kind of pasta shape that you like. Traditionally, though, this is served with spaghetti. But if you like linguine or bow tie pasta, would be very pretty in this. Just kind of work it down in there. When it comes up to a boil, that'll all go down in that water. And then put the lid on it just until it comes to a boil, and then you take the lid off, or you'll have Mount Vesuvius all over your stove. Let's check our little bit of sauce here. Kind of stir it up. It's just warming through. That's really all we want to do to that. And our chicken is almost done. I'm just going to clean up. When I come back, we're going to make a salad dressing and put this meal together. I'll be right back with you. Lamentations chapter 3 verse 26 says, "It is good that one should hope and wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord." Do you know that worry gets you nowhere? Worry does nothing but wear you out physically. God does not give us the spirit of fear and of worry, but of that of power and of love and of a sound mind. Don't spend your time worrying. Don't fret about life's problems. Trust in the Lord and wait upon the Lord. My favorite scripture says, "I waited patiently for the Lord, and He inclined unto me, and He heard my cry." When we wait patiently for the Lord, He will hear us, and it is good that we hope and put our trust in the Lord. Worry is not getting you anywhere. Okay, we got our chicken out of the skillet, and I just put it on a parchment-lined baking sheet, because what we're going to do now is put some cheese. Now, I've got a mixture here of Romano and Parmesan cheese, and you just want to sprinkle a little bit over each chicken breast. And the reason for the parchment, as you can see, the cheese does kind of fall off some, and I promise you it will make your cleanup a whole lot easier if you just do it that way. And then I've just got sliced mozzarella cheese, and we're going to put one slice of cheese over each one. And I've got my oven on broil, because these need to go under the broiler for just a minute to let that cheese, make sure you get the paper that's between the slices off. You don't want to cook that for sure. And let's just put this under the broiler for just a couple of minutes. It won't take long. And remember, anytime you use your broiler, leave your oven door just slightly ajar. We've got a big skillet here preheating, because I'm going to do just a little bit of sauteed spinach as a side dish. I'm putting probably about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in the bottom of my pan. I've got a big bag of spinach that takes just minutes to cook. And it's so good. I'll turn it down just a little. And it wilts very, very fast, so you don't have to worry. Cook it all, I promise you. Just cook it all, because it comes down to nothing. It'll look like you won't be able to fit it all in there, but when you take your tongs and you toss it around, it will fit. It just will start wilting down, and as it falls out, just put it back in there. See how the bottom of it just starts wilting down to next to nothing. Spinach is so healthy and so good for you. It's full of iron and vitamins and minerals, and you really, really should try to eat a lot more spinach. And the fresh spinach sauteed this way just takes seconds, and it is so good. Let's just let that continue. Let's get the rest of the bag in there, as much as we can fit. Just makes a wonderful little side dish for our spaghetti. We're going to add just a touch of salt. And I'm going to add just a touch, probably about 1/4 of a teaspoon of the toasted sesame oil. You don't have to do this part, but it just adds such an incredible flavor to the spinach. So I like to add just a little bit of the toasted sesame oil. See how that just wilts down into nothing. Our pasta should be done, so I'm going to turn it off. You want to cook your spaghetti till where it's al dente. Let's check our, one overboard there. Let that just continue to cook for just a minute. Let's check our chicken. Remember, it just takes a moment. You see how it's just broiling up there. Let's get our bread out. Leave that just a minute more. Get our bread out of the oven. Get it sliced and onto our little bread tray. It's just warm. That's all we did, was just warm up our bread. Let's just cut a little bit of that. I've got just a simple green salad to go with this meal. And my knife does not want to cut that for some reason, so let's switch knives. And we're just going to, let's just leave it. We'll cut it at the end. Let's put one of them out there. And then just slice us a couple of pieces. And what you're going to do, I'm going to show you what you're going to do on this dish, is you're going to take your bread and you're just going to dip it down in that wonderful sauce. And you see how it just gets on that bread, and it's just so yummy. Dripping down my face. So good. Couldn't resist. Can't wait. So let's check our spinach. It will, the residue heat from the pan. I shouldn't do that while I'm talking, should I? We'll finish just wilting the spinach. We've got just a simple green salad here with just little croutons on it. I'll finish my snack in a minute. We're going to make just a quick, let's get our chicken out of the oven. It's done. Looks yummy. Let's just let that set for just a minute. Let me put something out here to set this on for just a second. Don't want to burn my countertop. Look how good that looks, just with that cheese melted over the top. And we can get our, I'm just going to make a simple little vinaigrette of lemon dressing or lemon zest. I like vinegary dressings. I've got to come up with some recipes for some other things, but I just like the vinegary. I don't like a real heavy salad dressing. I like something very light, and we're going to put the juice of the lemon in there, if I can get it out there. Just put the juice of the lemon in there. A little bit of salt. Some red wine vinegar, probably about 3 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, or whatever kind of vinegar you like. Some freshly ground pepper. I like a lot of pepper. And remember the little trick to oily dressings. Whisk, and I had a whisk, there it is. Whisk it while you're pouring the oil. And what that will do is that emulsifies it so much better for you. I would say about half a cup of olive oil would be plenty because I like mine a little bit on the tangy side. We've got just a little bit of cheese left over, so let's just sprinkle that cheese right over top of that salad. That's just Parmesan and Romano. And then just put just a drizzle of the dressing over that. Then let's get our chicken together. The main course here. We're going to add just a little bit of spaghetti. Have just a little bit of spaghetti. A serving. Put that on your plate. Then take just a little bit of your pasta sauce and pour over your spaghetti. And that smells so good. Just that wonderful little simple marinara. Cover your lid back up because that pops out of there, doesn't it? And then take one of these delicious chicken breasts and place over your spaghetti. And then on the side, let's make a little room. On the side, just a little bit of a simple sauteed spinach as just a green vegetable on the side. And that, my friends, is chicken Parmesan with your bread dipping sauce and your wonderful green salad. I hope that you'll try this, enjoy, and I will see you next time on Everyday Manna.
Thank you for watching Everyday Manna with Lisa. This program is made possible by viewers like you. Your support is continually needed to keep Christian programming on the air. Please send your best financial gift to Living Faith Television in care of Everyday Manna, P.O. Box 1867, Abingdon, Virginia 24212.